such a long day today.
Oh no.
Mary, turn on some TV.
Yeah, sure. Welcome back to another episode of the Daily Dose of Science. My name is Mihir Choker, and today we're bringing you a special segment featuring Professor Robert Edwards, who has given hope to many infertile couples across the globe. Please welcome Dr. Edwards.
Thank you for having me here tonight.
Oh, the pleasure is ours. Please take a seat.
Thank you.
To start off, would you like to provide us with some information on reproductive technologies for those of us who don't know?
Yes, definitely. Assisted reproductive technologies are created to help and give infertile couples a chance to become pregnant and have a healthy child.
In today's advancing technology, there's a wide range of procedures that the couples can choose from or consider to best accommodate their situations, of blocked ovaries for females, low sperm count in men, and genetic disorders.
To help overcome these barriers and produce a healthy child, medical science actually offers many procedures like in vitro fertilization, artificial insemination, and embryo adoption.
Interesting.
Oh my god, Mihir, look! It's Professor Edwards on the TV. You've got to watch this.
The guy who created IVF? Why are you so interested in some old guy?
Excuse me? How can I not give importance to this reproductive technology when it has given such great advancements to science?
You know what? Let's just keep watching.
Fine. I had always wanted to give an opportunity to couples to be able to have a family, as various medical conditions may not allow them to conceive, and parents of Louise Brown were one of them.
With all those years of research, I was finally successful in carrying out in vitro fertilization when on July 25th, 1978, the first test tube baby, Louise Brown, was born.
Wow, the IVF procedure is very interesting, but at the same time, it's very complicated, don't you think?
Yes, it is interesting indeed, but not so complicated, since it really just depends on the individual's body and the number of cycles it takes for them to conceive.
Well, since you're here, why don't we give the audience an in-depth demonstration of how this procedure really works. So let's take a look into our Daily Dose of Science lab and take a closer look on IVF. Oh, and before we get started, please make sure to tie your hair back and wear your gloves. You've got to be safe. Since we're here in the Daily Dose of Science lab, why don't you show us how this procedure is done?
So basically, the woman is given synthetic hormones for a couple of weeks, which helps to stimulate the maturation and the release of eggs. And eventually, the eggs are taken out of the ovaries using ultrasound-guided needles. So here we have a female's egg and the male's sperm. We take a bunch of samples and mix them with the male sperm. Then we wait for nearly 5 days and wait until they divide and become a blastocyst. Once the egg is fertilized, it is then taken out and inserted into the woman's uterus.
Wow, it's so amazing to see what science can do for our society's needs. But what happens to the remaining embryos? That's what I was wondering. At least a news reporter is with me. IVF is such an unethical process. It sacrifices the lives of so many embryos before there is one successful implant. And didn't you know that when these embryos are chosen, only the healthy ones are implanted? That means all the remaining embryos are thrown out.
Mihir, I think you're also forgetting that due to ethical reasons, clinics are not allowed to dispose the embryos left over after the treatment without the couple's consent. And if the couple doesn't want to throw them away, they can let the clinic store it for future uses if they maybe want to grow their family bigger in the future. The couple can also donate their embryos for research or donate their embryos to another couple who may be lacking the information on this treatment.
But realistically, how many group of individuals would want to donate their DNA, their embryo, to a complete stranger? In many cases of IVF and artificial insemination, the parent might want to reclaim their child later on once the child is born. This causes issues in which the child may have to choose between their biological parents or their psychological parents. The process just gets longer with custody issues and adoption rights and all these contracts.
You know what, Mihir? It's really late at night. We'll talk about this tomorrow.
Well, bye.
Good morning.
Morning.
I was actually thinking something last night. I was thinking that reproductive technologies like IVF, artificial insemination, and embryo adoption have given infertile and homosexual couples, along with singles, to have a child. And I don't think that anyone would do this just to pass time or have fun.
But that's exactly the problem. Most of these people are joining the bandwagon without even giving the chance. This is not just egg freezing. This is a life we're talking about. And this business is worth around $3.5 billion, in which it's mostly the doctors who make the money since they have such large profit margins. In fact, their marketing scheme is to attract older women and use their biological age against them to make them join this social egg freezing process. And most of the time, these older women don't even stand a chance.
Hold on. Look at this.
Usually, men and women in their late 30s use reproductive technologies, and out of those, at least 90% are able to have a child.
Look, Muskan, I think IVF is fairly new, and there's only been 3 decades since this procedure was first invented. That means there's still a lot of uncertainty, and there still needs to be a lot of medical research done.
But IVF is generally the most reliable source used around the world, with more than 5 million people who are able to conceive babies using this procedure, Meher. Oh shoot! I'm getting late. I'll see you later.
Bye.
Oh, today was so boring. Ow! Meher, watch out! Don't step on my shoes! They're so expensive!
Girl, you know what's expensive? IVF. People pay so much money for a procedure that has no certain outcome. It's just so overhyped. You know, one IVF cycle costs around $13,000 in Canada.
Well, actually, Ontario funds IVF services with contracts with 51 fertility clinics in our province for the residents that are already in the fertility program. This can help them to finally have a child because the cost is worth it.
Well, from my knowledge, I know that the government only funds for partial, and that's only for women that are over 40 or have fallopian tube blockage. What about those who can't get government funding and can't financially be able to provide for this? So what happens to them? They end up going outside, flying out of the country, and going to clinics that are unsafe or unethical. And in search of doing something for cheaper, they spend more money.
Well, see, that is why we need to be acceptable and educated about the reproductive technology, so it's more accessible, as the government here is working with the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario to ensure that we have the highest quality fertility services. And this can also allow the people to trust their doctor with the treatment. And in order to have a healthy child, the costs will be high, Meher.
Alright.
Meher?
I hope you don't buy your shoes next time without thinking if they're worth the price. Just like people are with reproductive technology. Man, I wish I was a bit more taller.
Well then, I have great news for you. I recently discovered that with reproductive technologies, scientists have an advantage to peer into the embryo's genes, which allows the people to artificially select the traits that they want in their child.
So you're saying that it's okay to interfere with the natural process of life? I mean, science is great, but how can you give it so much power as God? Natural selection is here for a reason, and that's what evolution has been following all these years. I want to go to such extremes just to be tall.
Meher, we're in the 21st century. You've got to be open-minded. I mean, consider all the possibilities. We can't only choose their characteristics, but we can also use the DNA microchips to analyze the genes that they're created for height, intelligence, hair, skin, and even more.
Come on, Muskan, even you know that this technology is new. We don't even know if this genetically modifying process will affect the baby's gene pool or not. It could even later on cause troubles throughout the baby's family tree.
Meher, this technology is not new. It has just advanced even more. And by choosing your child's trait, you're guaranteed that the child is going to be the best version of you. I mean, you can try conceiving naturally many times, but you'll never get such a great result.
Man, I'm scared we're gonna be living in a world where everyone is the same. Oh, and you can start planning how your future baby's gonna look like.
Excuse me?
Bye!
I'm craving something sweet. Here, can you pass me a popsicle?
Yeah, sure. Wait a second! Oh my god. Can you believe that we store embryos, potential human beings, in freezers? Embryo freezing can lead to the permanent injury of cells, which may cause them to die.
But Meher, with any procedure, there are risks, and it's not like it happens every time. Plus, if women store extra embryos, there wouldn't be a need to get donated oocytes from other strangers.
Well, there have been many cases in which the membranes of premature embryos were ruptured. This led to the termination of pregnancy in just 24 weeks.
Meher, why don't you look at the brighter side? I mean, have you ever thought how great this option is for people that are single? Because they can have a genetically related child without being part of the hassle of finding a partner.
Well, why don't you look at the other side? There aren't even any consistent laws on who gets a frozen embryo if the single parent dies or if the couple gets a divorce.
You know what? Give me my popsicle. I have lots to do.
Okay.
Hey Meher, what's the disorder at trisomy 21?
Down syndrome?
Yeah, good job. Thanks.
But oh my god, if you think about it, there's so many disorders in this world. It's just so sad.
Well, I have a solution for that.
Not again.
Reproductive technologies are the most reliable sources to detect inherited disorders or diseases. I mean, just imagine, people who carry genetic disorders like cystic fibrosis and Huntington's disease can ensure that the child is conceived safely using IVF with the pre-implantation genetic screening.
Muskan, it isn't all that easy. There is potential damage to cytoplasmic organelles, which can increase the risk to autosomal and chromosomal disorders. For example, I read in a 5-year study that birth defects are doubled when children are born through IVF and ICSI.
Okay, look at this. I have 4 pens here. First one, doesn't work. Second one, doesn't work. Third one, doesn't work. Out of all these options, you only have one left. And will you get frustrated and throw that one away too? No! So Meher, if parents don't try, they will never be able to fulfill their dreams to have a family. And the only option that they have left would be to take a chance. For example, for males who have a low sperm count or decreased mobility, ICSI is their only option to have a child that is biologically theirs.
Even after knowing all the health concerns that come with reproductive technologies, are parents really ready to risk the health and happiness of their child? I mean, ICS can transmit inheritable causes of male fertility, like the AZF deletion on the Y chromosome and a cystic fibrosis gene mutation. Plus, there's more risk of malformation in children, especially males, as it affects their genitourinary system.
But Meher, using IVF and ICSI together increases the chances of a healthier pregnancy and a baby. And yes, if it can give someone their happiness, then I think that it's totally worth it.
But before making a decision, people should really think if they want this or not. There are so many legal and ethical concerns that come with this issue. This takes a long time. It's not some quick process.
Guys! Did the Daily Dose of Science episode end like 6 days ago? Why are you still talking about this? You do know that the pros and cons will always be there, right? Well, yeah. I guess it just really depends on the person and their situation.
And if they know what they're stepping into. Man, I'm never watching Daily Dose of Science again.
Same here.